Workplace Ninja Summit in Luzerne. Highlights, insights, and simply interesting talks. This is the Workplace Ninja Podcast.
So, welcome back. Workplace Ninja Summit, Luzerne. We're still here. Last day, last few recordings. My name is... Oh, just a second. My name is Frans Oudendorp. Please welcome my co-host, Peter.
Yep, thank you. Last couple of hours.
Yeah, luckily. Hopefully it's done in a few hours, but because we are getting a bit of tired, but we're still here. We have with us some Microsoft folks. Anders.
That's me.
From?
Sweden.
And we have Herman.
Hello.
Hello. And you're from?
I am from Malaga, but originally from Argentina, but I live in Malaga, Spain.
Yeah, and we talked about that the temperature here in Luzerne is a bit cold.
Yeah, no,
Luckily, we can do that with the
There is
t-shirt.
two different temperatures. So one is the weather outside is very cold,
Yeah.
but inside the venue is very warm.
Yeah.
All the people. Yeah.
And here we're a little bit in between. It's
We are between. Yeah.
But if we do big conferences, Peter, that's always in the US. It's always different. Then it's outside warm as,
exactly.
and then inside the
freezing.
they turn down the AC to 12 degrees Celsius or something.
Yeah.
If you can turn it on top of. Let's see. You both did a few sessions together with some other people as well, I saw. The first thing is config manager. That was one of the sessions. But the main question that every sysadmin has: config manager is dead, isn't it?
No, it's not. Herman has a great term for that.
Configuration manager is not dead, okay? But we believe that is done, right? And what that means when we say that is done, that we are going to continue doing investments in terms about security, right? In the product, we are going to continue giving the compatibility for the future operating system versions that we are going to release, right? But I think that it's clear that all our investments for new innovations, they are going to the cloud. So this is the moment that's why the conversations about to cloud native and start that journey, the people that they didn't start it yet, I think that this is really the moment to go there, right?
Yeah.
But it's not dead, but it's done.
That still has a use case, right? For a lot of companies that are maybe not that connected well connected to the cloud or are completely disconnected from the cloud. So
Absolutely. There will still be use cases in many years from now where
exactly.
config manager will be the tool of choice. So we're not taking it away.
It will be shifting a little bit, where config manager had 220 million devices connected. That will be shifting maybe slowly.
That's what we anticipate,
Yeah.
and I hope you're correct. Yep.
I think that today, how is the world is not the same that 5 years ago, right?
No.
So many things happen. A COVID situation happened, right? So that's why all of this change. Obviously, that you are going to have scenarios, you are going to have organizations, you are going to have many different challenges that maybe your best is to continue with config manager. That's why we are going to support that scenarios, right? But we need to continue giving all the innovation in the cloud, and that is another area for other ones. So we are not saying stay here or go there. If not, that choose what is best for you, right?
Yeah.
Are there some best practices from moving to config manager from config manager to Intune to cloud native?
There is. The best one is you should have started 2 years ago. And if you missed that one, the second best is start today, assuming that you want to move, obviously. If you want to stay, that's good, as we heard Herman say. But it's really not the question of when at this point. So if you're determined to move, now is the time.
Yeah.
And sorry to...
Go ahead.
I just wanted to add that if you didn't go to our session, at least make sure you look at the slide deck, because it's really important that you have the mindset of cloud. If you move from Config Manager to Intune with the intention of migrating, that won't work. It's a completely new type of management requiring a completely new mindset for management. So it's not only a technical shift, it's a mental shift as well. And that's where we see most of our customers failing at this point. It's not lacking
or at
features.
least struggling.
Yeah.
Because they want to migrate all their group policies, which are
the same
kind of
way.
related, but because we do it like that already for 10 years.
Yes,
and
we
that's
know how
wrong.
it should be done.
Yeah, and then,
exactly.
And then it's like it's two different things. Okay, go to the cloud, move to the cloud, and then go cloud native, right? So when we are talking about cloud native, and we are talking about, let's say, from a Windows perspective, right? So we are talking about a Windows computer that, in terms about identity, is Entra ID. And in terms about management, is managed with Intune only, right?
Yeah.
So this is a cloud native. And obviously, how we best would love to see this scenario is that you are provisioning the computer using Windows Autopilot, right?
Yeah.
So this is cloud native. So don't confuse that for your existing computers today, you need to have, in terms about identity, a hybrid identity, or you need to have a co-management states, okay? So for us, these are transitioning states, right? So cloud native is Entra ID, Intune only, and much better if you are using Windows Autopilot 2.
Yeah. So what about hybrid? Because if you are moving from config manager to Intune, it's the better way to move to cloud native. I completely agree with that. But hybrid situations, I hear somewhere that was regarding all the authentication stuff. We need to move cloud native. Don't do hybrid. What about the config management part of Intune config manager moving to cloud native? Can we touch hybrid, or should we pass that?
So hybrid in a config manager setting would be co-managed. So you have both config manager and Intune, and that's perfectly all right. Again, as Herman said, in a transitional state. And what we see most customers linger with is the apps. So moving the policies over, moving all the configuration, desired configuration, all that is easy in that sense. But apps, they have a truckload of apps in Config Manager. They have accumulated over 20 years. And if you don't have if you have a one-to-one forklift approach, that is going to be a very heavy migration. So that's why they stay with a co-managed setup for quite some time.
Yeah,
but
and don't use autopilot in a hybrid
Nope.
scenario.
No,
right?
please.
That's
Don't
what
do
you
it.
were
No, please.
referring to. That's
I guess.
a big fault. That
And
would be a big fault.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And also, we use a lot the word hybrid, right? So one thing is hybrid in terms about identity.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Exactly,
But
yeah.
hybrid is possible. So be working in a hybrid environment, right? So I am this week in this amazing venue, in this event, and I am continue working, right, with data in my company. And next week, I am going to be in a Microsoft Office, right? So this is a hybrid environment. This is a hybrid way to work also, right? So it's like you can be hybrid and you can be cloud native. Not because we are talking about in a hybrid environment in terms of identity, you need to go in a hybrid way, yeah?
Yeah, but hybrid in the different products means also different things because if you are a hybrid identity, that's a synchronized identity. And then you have two identities, one on-prem, one in the cloud.
Yep.
If you have a hybrid device, then the device is on both sides. I think that if talking about hybrid, different people are meaning different things with it.
I hear it. So you say that we need to improve the way that how we use the words in Microsoft to name things, right?
Probably.
It's not the first time.
We are super clear always. And we never rename things either. It's
No. We never rename things. No. Well, you were talking about apps. Within Config Manager, we had a lot of applications that we are installing on endpoints. There was another session on Wednesday that you did on enterprise app management.
Yep.
That is part of the Intune Suite. What can you tell about that?
So EAM, as you said, part of the Intune Suite is mainly a catalog of pre-packaged apps, if you will. So ideally, you would find the majority of your apps in there, and you just tick them off or select them, import them into your tenant, and you're done. So it's the beginning of the end of packaging apps yourself. I'm sure many consultants make a living out of repackaging an MSI file for the 20,000th time, but hopefully that will go down. You will always have a need for packaging applications because you have your own homemade ones or things that will never show up in a catalog. But for the bread and butter apps, you shouldn't spend time and money on doing that, and also keeping them up to date. Packaging them is only the start of the journey. It's the maintenance or governance of that app going forward.
It's even more important, I think, with all the vulnerabilities targeted.
Yep.
I think it's a hope, it's a simplification, right?
Yeah.
So we spend a lot of time, right, packaging applications, learning how do we need to package, what do we need to add, how do we need to install this application, how do we need to uninstall this application, right? Then how do we need to give service to this application, how we need to update this. Imagine how awesome it is. Go to a catalog, you can see there all the applications there. You don't need to be worried about from where you can take the binaries. If it's the vendor, it's another website, it's another place, and you have everything there. And then when you choose this application, then you go there and you have all the commands that you needed to read PDF or information to see what was the correct command in order to install and install, etc. is there. So we are giving you all the metadata that you can modify. We don't recommend, okay? So, but if you can do it, so if you want, you can do it. So it is the simplification, right? So I think that we are going in a very nice way. We need to add more applications. We are working very, very strong on that commitment, right? So every sprint, we are adding more and more applications. And I think that we are doing something very, very awesome, right? So in our session, we explain our future vision, right? So, and I think that everybody love, okay? So what we are going to do there.
Yeah, fully agree. Yeah, and like I said, it's one of the most important things nowadays. We always focused on securing the operating system, but all the apps, we just forgot about it. And bad actors thought alike, so yeah, they are targeting the apps which are
Obviously.
not maintained. Yeah.
Enterprise app management, but also app lifecycle management. That's part of it. Can that make their life easier for sysadmins?
That's the vision. Yeah, absolutely. So I'm sure some will disagree because they add their little extra sauce to it. But if we can take 80% of the work away so they can focus on the 20% that matters, then at least it's the same work, but quality. They can focus on quality instead of quantity.
Yeah. Is that also the main takeaway from that session that you want to give to attendees that have attended to the enterprise app management session?
I would say what we want the users or the audience to leave with is the feeling that it could be simplified. There are ways to simplify their life, not so they are obsolete, but that they can focus on what they should be focusing on instead of reinventing the wheel every morning when they get to work.
Doesn't make any sense that we have in the session more than 150 people probably working for different companies, and all of them probably they have something in common, that they need the same application. And all of them, they need to go and package this application and spend this time doing the package of this application, right? And then after a week, after 4 weeks, or after 2 months, there is an update and they need to go through that process, right? So how many hours are we going to save of all of that people if they use the catalog?
Exactly. And you don't want to enable in-app auto-update.
No, thank you.
Because we have seen it a couple of weeks ago with the CloudStrike. You need to have a controlled way of deploying your updates, deploying your applications via ring structure.
Yeah, I had a conversation this morning with, I think it was Florian Salzman and Yannick Reinhardt on also on a bit on app management. And we touched a bit on the CloudStrike issue. You want to do that in a controlled way, but you will, and you need to do that as fast as possible. So I think you need a balance, and that's challenging. So everyone is.
We are going to give all the control, okay, that the admins need, in order that if you want to go faster because you need to go faster, you can do it. If you need to go with a different piece, you can also do it. Okay, so I think that this is what we need to offer.
And that's also with normal updates, right? You can expedite updates if they have of a lot of CVEs that are fixed. You can expedite it and deploy it within hours instead of maybe days.
Yep.
Next thing I want to touch on is PKI. I know last year we were in Baden. We did a lot of recordings. I had Matt here, Matt Hall, on that, and we talked a lot on PKI, Cloud PKI, because that was released around that time. So it's first anniversary, I guess. Cloud PKI. What has been? It's part of Intune Suite. Intune Suite is larger. Maybe you can elaborate a little bit on that first. But second to that, what has been the most things that enhanced in Cloud PKI in the last year?
So not many, or should we start with the Intune Suite?
Intune Suite.
So Intune Suite is a family or a suite, as the name implies, of products. So it's remote help, it's advanced endpoint analytics, Cloud PKI, enterprise app management, and something else that I probably forgot.
MAM Tunnel.
Yeah,
MAM Tunnel. Yeah, but okay, it's part of Suite, but technically it's part of P2.
Yeah.
P2 is part of Suite, but you're right. Yes. So it's a collection of applications or functions.
Capabilities.
Thank you. They all require Intune, so you can't buy them individually in themselves. You can license them individually, but they cannot run on them on themselves.
And even on Intune P1, do we have that? It can be on M365P. What is it? E3 and E5 as well.
You have Intune P1. That is the core of Intune. And then what we add is different capabilities, right? That it make the Intune Suite. So we are offering this as a suite. Or you can do as an add-on, okay, if you need it.
And
Intune is in 365 E3, so it's not an E5 feature.
No.
So even if you have E5, there won't be any more Intune.
I messed
features.
it up.
Yeah.
Sorry for that.
Let's move to the other side.
Licensing is always the hard part.
Don't go there, please.
We'll cut that out from the podcast. Anyway, moving on to the features. So unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on how you see it, since you talked to Matt last year, there hasn't been many features per se. We have honed or sharpened the things we have already released, but it's quite a simple. One of the key deliverables for Cloud PKI is simplicity. That's what we're striving for. So we don't want to overcomplicate it. We don't want to have a gazillion options like you have in Active Directory certificate services. Not because we don't want to, but because if we do that, then stay with Active Directory certificate services or something else. So this is supposed to be super to the point of what a mobile device need. And with mobile, I include Windows, but an internet, a cloud native device.
What are the key scenarios that we are using with Cloud PKI?
So it's CBA, so certificate-based auth, mainly for Wi-Fi, VPN, and those things. IDs, search for devices or search for users, depending on what you want to use them for in your environment.
So I can authenticate based on a device, based on a user, to my own Wi-Fi, to the VPN that I probably need to access some local resources.
Exactly. Where you today need to set up a connection to your on-prem PKI, punch some holes in your firewall and allow that enrollment to take place. And we are moving that all to your tenant, where your device lives, where your user lives, so you never have to touch your on-prem environment at all in this enrollment process. So in our mind, it's a more secure way than having requests showing up on the inside of your firewall.
And also, I think that is important that to notice that all this on-prem infrastructure, right, about certificates. So how many days, how many hours you need to invest in order to set up first. And
if you do it correctly.
If you do it correctly, right? And how many minutes you need to do Cloud PKI?
Exactly, 5 minutes or so.
Yeah.
So this is for someone that probably, so if I play now the role that I don't know anything about certificates, right? And for me, certificates are things of the past, okay? That maybe you can explain me why in Cloud PKI exists, okay? But it's just minutes, right? So before it was days, first in order to understand what you need to set up, and then in order to set up days in order to have there, and then to maintain. And now you are telling me that in Intune, you go to the console, and in only minutes, you have something that is working in a good way and is secure. Mm-hmm. Amazing.
Exactly.
Yeah, I was used to implement NDES environments, all the kind of stuff with on-prem ADCS, and
very consultant friendly.
Yeah, definitely. But what I see nowadays, I had a customer, I think it's a few months ago, that asked me to implement a SCAP environment based on ADCS because of authentication for their Wi-Fi. But I was telling them, so why should I do that? Because it takes me a few days and then everything is up and running. You have an environment, you can use that. So, but it's the only thing that you're using Wi-Fi. Please use another solution like Cloud PKI, because when I'm not available, try to find someone who has the knowledge to run or maintain the ADCS environment. Yep. It's quite hard nowadays.
It is.
Absolutely.
And you should treat a certificate in authority as a domain controller, so you need to harden it, you need to make sure it's really secure, and a lot of companies just forget about that. It's just another server, just another service, but it's really critical.
It's a high value target for malicious actors. And another fun, in quotes, things is that about 10-15 years ago, no one would ever consider putting a domain controller on the internet, let alone a certificate server. And now they have their entire identity in Entra ID that is on the internet. That's the nature of that identity. But they still say, no, we can't put the PKI on the internet. It's too dangerous. Yeah. So security people, I'll call them that collectively, need to up their game in the sense that if their identities are in or are on the internet, so can their certificates. It's not more secure to keep it in the basement. Yeah.
To finish up this recording a bit, evolving the role of an IT admin. What we see with Cloud PKI is that a few years ago, everyone was implementing. It takes a lot of time to maintain it and so on. Now it's a service running it in a few minutes, and you're good to go. How do you foresee that for IT admins in the next few months, years, whatever?
I think what we are doing is moving IT pros up the value chain. If what you do all day is troubleshooting and fixing stuff, that's not a good experience for an IT pro. It looks like you're useful, but you're not contributing to the greater good. Yeah. So if everything works and you can focus on optimizing the processes or optimizing the experience for your users, that's where you can make a difference.
Yeah, being proactive instead of reactive.
Exactly.
Right?
Yep.
And luckily, all the signals are coming through the platforms that the guys are delivering.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
So thanks for the recording, guys. Love that you are here on the event presenting stuff that IT admins are need, probably.
Thank you very much for the invitation. Amazing event.
And if you're watching this video or listen to this recording and you find it valuable, please let us know. Thumbs up for all the notifications that if you want the new videos and the new recordings coming on your timeline. Like and subscribe. And I say until the next time.
Cheers.
Thanks. Cheers.